Hello, Canada, and welcome to Fake News for February 2019. So much BS these days, I don't know where to start. But why not begin with somebody who's been on my mind quite a bit lately, Faith Goldy. Faith has been labeled a white supremacist. Ask people why they think this, and the answer is usually a blank stare. It's what they've been told by the mainstream media, and therefore it must be true. Now, I know Faith a little. I traveled with her on a cruise a couple of years ago. She is anything but a white supremacist. Unfortunately, by allowing herself to be interviewed by a white nationalist group after the Charlottesville incident, the label was affixed, and it has since stuck. Faith's treatment during the 2018 mayoral campaign by everyone, and I do mean everyone, from the media to the mayoral candidates themselves, was disgraceful. Despite being one of the top 3 competitors for the job of mayor, she was not allowed to participate in debates. Despite her right to advertise herself during the campaign, Bell Media refused to run her ads. Faith sued them and lost, and she's now out $45,000, a good portion of her life savings. Simply put, this was unfair and unjust treatment. How does this reflect on a fair and just Canada and the expectation of due process when it comes to such fundamental rights? Fake news labeled Faith, and she was and is now persona non grata. Why is it then that Trudeau gets away with groping a reporter in BC some years back and explains this behavior, which he himself has condemned in others, as a different understanding between sexes about what constitutes inappropriate behavior? And the media lets this go. Another example for February 2019 of a fake news story coming to a news outlet near you, SNC Lavelin. Nothing to see here, folks, but oh, then wait, there is quite a bit to see, except that we Canadians aren't allowed to see it because, something about solicitor-client privilege, Jody Wilson-Raybould being a bad girl, not speaking French, not saying anything to her boss, the Prime Minister, when she could have, etc., etc. And then the supposed nonpartisan clerk of the Privy Council, in an attempt to really up the ante, he comes out swinging for the Liberals and pretty much confirms what we all already knew, that the former AG was indeed pressured. Finally, let's look for a moment at the opportunity missed by the guy for the middle class over there in Ottawa. A convoy of truckers makes a 2,000-kilometer trek across the country to air their legitimate grievances. And Prime Minister Trudeau can't even walk a couple of 100 yards to give them a few minutes of his time. This would require real leadership. And Trudeau, the coward, has never been what one could call a leader of any sort, unless, of course, you look at his championing of Muslim causes and the great photo op rush to lay out the welcome mat for so-called refugees. Albertans are hurting. These middle-class truck drivers and oil rig workers only want the opportunity to make a living, and to tell you about how you're hurting their ability to do this with your anti-pipeline, anti-oil industry interference, Mr. Trudeau. No, they are not racists and white supremacists, as your fake news spin doctors would have us think. The real middle class came to your door, Justin, and you were too busy making up excuses for your role in the SNC Lavelin scandal to spare a moment to hear what they had to say. Kind of blows your theory about being for the working class, a champion for women that you are sometimes guilty of groping, and a leader who promised Canadians transparency, but instead is giving us the master of all cover-ups. Get your fake news, Canada. Stay tuned for more to come. That is one thing with this Liberal government that we Canadians can be sure of.